Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the 107 podcast with myself, Jacob, and my co-host, Ash. This weekend, we watched the Monaco Grand Prix. We are reviewing that today. The Grand Prix where a lot, but not a lot, but a lot happened, even though nothing really happened. It was a bit of an odd one. Should we start off with the big incident, the big crash at the start of the race, and then we'll talk about quali and all that fun stuff.
Are you going to talk about this in a neutral point of view, with no affiliations to Denmark or K-Mag?
I will discuss this in a perfectly normal way.
Right? Take off those red and white tinted glasses and just observe and comment on that.
My briller in Danish. There you go. Racing incident.
In a neutral way. No.
Racing incident. If you disagree with me, you disagree with the FIA, who are always right.
Go on. All right. I'm just going to let you talk.
That's it. That's all I have to say. I don't have anything else to say. I have a lot more to say, but you know.
So not a lot happened, but a lot happened. So you don't have a lot.
Not a lot happened, but a lot happened. No, Here's my thing.
I just want you to get it all out because I have a feeling that I'll say something and you're like,
So for me, this is genuinely what I believe, right? Crash at the beginning. Not Nico's fault. Let's get that out of the way. Nico was an innocent bystander. I feel sorry for Nico. Kevin, you're a fucking idiot. Pull out. That's it. Just pull out. It's the lap 1 of Monaco. I understand he made up like 2 positions by that point. But come on. You can easily you can see there's a gap closing because you're fighting Perez, who does not give space. And Perez had about 300 million cubic meters of space to his left and could have moved to the left as well. He was looking in his mirrors. He knew that Kevin was there. This is why I think both of them are to blame. Kevin's slightly more than Perez, but by like 1%, 51% Kevin, 49% Perez. They're both idiots as far as I'm concerned. Completely unavoidable crash. Idiots.
No, I think K-Mag was completely at fault and should have been penalised. Or actually, let's go back. There should have been an investigation.
There should have been an investigation. I'll give you that.
Just look into it at least and see all the extra data points and camera angles I have.
Yeah.
But this is my neutral point of view because I really don't care.
Yep.
So you've got Nico on the left.
Yep.
Sergio on the right.
Yep.
And K-Mag back right.
Yep.
Right? Sergio has just gone straight.
Mm-hmm.
He's not gone right and he's not gone left. And I know you mentioned, there's acres of space to the left, right? But he doesn't want to move left because maybe he doesn't know exactly where Nico is, right? If he moves left and clips his wing, clips his tire, there's an accident. So he goes, I know I can just go straight. I know Nico can go straight. I'm ahead of him round the corner, going into those chicanes. I'll be ahead. He is not expecting, and no one is expecting, in a closing gap for a driver to come up on his right-hand side. Right? It's not. K-Mag should have just I understand K-Mag's headspace, right? He's made up some positions. He could make up another one. Can't overtake at Monaco. But he should have just backed out, right? And made up 2 positions already. Just back out. It's a Red Bull. They're probably going to pull away from me. But he's a racer, and you can say all that. And he didn't. And he was the cause of the crash, and he should have been penalised.
I slightly agree with you, as I say. However, and very appropriate that I'm wearing a shirt. If you no longer go for a gap, you are no longer a racing driver.
Okay, we can't use that quote.
Why not? Why not? I think it's the perfect
excuse. One, because you can't just use a quote as an excuse. I don't think the FIA would take that.
Okay, sure. The FIA did take it. There was no investigation.
Secondly, he knew he was wrong. Ayrton, he just said that to get the people off him, but he knew when he made that move that caused the quote.
But it's a cool quote.
Thirdly, there wasn't a gap.
There was a gap. Otherwise, there was a Kevin Magnussen in that gap that Sergio closed. So therefore, there was a gap.
Sergio didn't close it. Sergio went straight the barrier.
No. Sergio drifted slightly to the right. You watch the onboards, watch the replay. Sergio did drift slightly to the right, not by much. And this is again why I think that they're both kind of at fault. But he did drift slightly to the right, and I do realise that there's it's not a straight barrier. It's
No,
got
it
like a
curves.
little bump or like curve in it as well. But at the same time, like Perez had zero spatial awareness, none. Neither did
Yeah,
Kevin.
but
That's why I'm saying it's both of their fault.
he can't have spatial awareness for someone who's at the back right of him. He doesn't know if it's his front wing.
Well, then why do they have wing
tires, or no
mirrors?
one. Yeah, to see who's behind them.
And
right?
so he was looking in his mirror and he saw he was behind him. So therefore, he should know that he's behind him, and he
And
should know.
so what should Sergio do then? Move to the left and take out Nico,
Nico was nowhere near him.
or stick on the line he's going through? Nico was right there.
No, he was not. He was at least half a car, if not more, length behind Perez.
Nah.
I promise you, I know this all happened within like 0.2, 0.5 seconds, but I promise you, Nico was much further back than you think.
Yeah, but
They reviewed it on.
Maybe you're right. So what would you have said in the ideal situation?
So they reviewed it on F1 TV as well. Just to go backwards a teeny tiny bit, they reviewed it on F1 TV, and they did say they can understand why it was both like drivers at fault. And Jenson Button also agreed. So by disagreeing with me, Jenson Button, you've got a problem with him. So I'm just going to throw that out there. But so back to your question.
Back to the question. Sergio moves to the left.
Yeah.
What happens after that? Do you think Kevin Magnussen's got enough space, speed to overtake him up there?
No.
It's the why
probably not. Because the Red Bull is strongest in a straight line. Like it just is.
So Sergio moves over to the left. Nico's behind him.
Yeah.
K-Mag's on the right.
Yeah.
If K-Mag can't get past Sergio, why go for the move?
So I think that essentially Kevin was attacking the space. And so, for example, in a hypothetical world, if you have Perez just going further up the road, he doesn't make contact with Kevin, he doesn't make contact with Nico. You've still got Kevin here and Nico slightly further behind Kevin, and it is a left corner. Perez has more than enough speed and space to make that corner, and therefore Kevin more than likely would have dropped behind purely based on the speed of Perez, and there wouldn't have been an incident. I have a bigger problem, by the way, with the start of the race. Not this crash. I have no problem with this crash. Racing incident as far as I'm concerned.
Sergio moves over.
Yeah.
They don't crash.
Yep.
What does Kevin get out of it?
Nothing.
So why go for it?
Because it's Monaco, and if you see an opportunity, you take one.
So there you go. So why go? If he knows, like Kevin knows, right? If you say Kevin knows, I'm not going to get past him.
Well, not necessarily he's not going to get past him, because we know for a fact that on track there were faster cars based off of quality. We know that were faster cars in front, behind slower cars. We know for a fact that Max is faster than George. Full stop, right? But George kept Max behind him the entire race.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So, like, feasibly, slower cars, especially being opportunistic, can overtake faster cars. So that's why I'm saying that also Kevin had every right to go for a move on Perez.
If it was wider, I would say yeah. If he was further alongside, I would say yeah. But the position he was at, it's just pointless. There was no point. He was not going to get up. I don't know. Well, I say K-Mag's at fault. You didn't say K-Mag's at fault.
I think K-Mag is slightly more at fault, but like I said, Perez is still at fault as well.
Didn't investigate it.
FIA didn't investigate. But like I said, I have a bigger problem with the start of the race. You're not going to like this.
Okay.
Right. So I have a big problem with Carlos Sainz having a puncture and then being reinstated to P3. That is fucking bullshit. I don't care. That actually annoyed me. Bullshit. He should be at the back of the grid. Completely, just no. Immediately no.
All right. I don't really have any comments on it.
So do you agree or disagree?
Well, no, the issue isn't whether I agree or disagree.
No, I'm just asking, like, do you agree or disagree that it was the right decision to put him back in P3?
This is why I don't agree or disagree, is because they have this rule where you have to have a timed sector and they can judge where the positions of the right? So if you take that out, then like stuff could happen and be chaos. Well, I was ahead of him at this corner and I was ahead there and this and that and this and that. So I agree with the basis of the rule. But then, yeah, you're right. He had a puncture, fell to the back of the grid. Should have been at the back of the grid.
He should have been at the back of the grid.
But then, like, it will just open up a can of worms for like.
See, I don't think it does, because you had Charles and Oscar. They were already at the chicane after the after the tunnel. So if they're already at the chicane after the tunnel, that is at least over a sector in. If Carlos hasn't made it to the first sector, but the other, I guess by that point, 17 cars have, because obviously the 3 crashed behind him and then Carlos himself. So 16 cars. Sorry, I do apologise. But if the other 16 cars have already made it through the first sector, but he hasn't
Yeah, I think you have
the first sector time. So
I need to look at the rule. I need to check the rule. Is it like one car makes a sector, or is it all cars that make the sector?
It just seems like bullshit to me, and that actually pissed me off. Like, to be completely honest, again, this is coming from a McLaren fan's perspective, but it actually pissed me off because, as far as I'm concerned, if that crash didn't happen behind, he's in P20. Because you got a puncture. And I understand that it was Oscar that gave him the puncture and blah, 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 blah. There could have been a time penalty. It was classified as a racing incident.
That was a racing incident. Yeah.
And as far as even a neutral's perspective, racing incident, it's a little bit of contact. It's not intentional. Carlos, for some reason, has some sort of problem with giving Piastri space as well in multiple occasions, which is also a really odd thing as well. Look at Spa last year. So... yeah, for me, a racing incident, but still, promoting him back to P3, bullshit. Sorry, it is absolute bullshit.
Yeah, I understand. And yeah, maybe you should have gone to the back of the grid, but I also understand the rule and why it's there.
I get the rule, and I do understand why it's there. However, it doesn't make it less bullshit.
No, but remember, it's only because the red flag came out. If it was a safety car, yellow. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's like if it was like it was a yellow flag or safety car, then I'd be like, that's bullshit. That's actually bullshit.
Yeah, if it was safety a red flag or it's bullshit as far as I'm concerned. Regardless, I think it's bullshit. But yeah, that really annoyed me. And I think there's one other thing that we need to talk about within lap 1, and then I'd like to genuinely just go back and chat about some of the bits and pieces like quali and the weekend itself and having Monaco on the calendar as well. I think that's always a good thing to chuck in here. The French Civil War. If I hadn't won bingo before, I'd bloody won it now. Yeah.
You did have it on.
Gasly sent Ocon to the moon. Like, unbelievable.
No, Ocon sent himself to the moon.
Yeah, okay. Ocon sent himself to the moon. Outrageous trying that move there and fucking it up that badly on your teammate. And this is not something that is an isolated incident. And genuinely, the team principal is looking at benching Ocon for Canada based on this incident.
No, that's a bit overkill.
How insane is that?
That's overkill.
But that's a thing. That is an actual thing that they're looking at.
Nah, I wouldn't do that. That's a bit too much, man. Teammates come together all the time, and I don't think it's a good precedent to set. To bench.
I don't think, but I think that is such a strong position to take for sure.
Maybe it's like we'll publicly say it just to like Ocon.
I mean, maybe
really fuck up, but they won't actually do it. But yeah, I don't know what Ocon's doing, making a move like that. Like you said, on his teammate on that one, he could have done like both cars could have been taken out.
Yeah,
it's just mental. It's actually
not
mental.
Good, is it? Like,
then,
trust me, I'm all here for the French Civil War because this is. I've got so much popcorn ready to watch this shit just explode. But outrageous. You have to be opportunistic at Monaco, but this is on another level.
Yeah, I think that's a bit much. Maybe it's like in public, we're gonna kind of like punish you, but behind the scenes, like.
For me, if I'm the team principal at Alpine, who's the bloke, I've forgotten his name. Bruno.
Yeah, is it Bruno Famine?
Bruno.
Was it Bruno?
If I'm Bruno,
yeah.
If I'm Bruno, I'm gonna sit the 2 drivers down and I'm saying, I'm not being fucking funny, lads, but no, I'm not having that anymore, and I'm gonna say publicly that we're considering taking one of you out or benching one of you for the Grand Prix. However, I am being serious that if it happens again, I will 100% be doing so.
Do you think that's a good way to manage drivers? So let me bring back another incident, right?
Yeah, sure.
2016, Lewis and Nico,
yeah.
famous incident. in front of the scenes, like, we'll deal with it. This is unacceptable, like that. But behind the scenes, Toto was angry, right?
Angry as fuck from what
Made
we
him pay for the
heard.
damages, made him sign a contract that if anything like this happened again, make them apologize to the team.
Yeah.
But a lot of that was kept behind the scenes. But for a front of the team, it's like, we're still united, we're still together. This won't happen
True,
again.
but let's be honest, Alpine are a mess at the moment. So I mean,
Are
might
they a
as
mess
well
though?
just
Because they are getting better. They are improving.
somehow, yeah. Charlie,
Do you know
mate, that floor is looking.
They are.
I actually
improving.
saw the floor this weekend. Thank you, Ocon.
But they are improving.
They are improving. They are actually genuinely improving. P10,
Unlike
P11.
Aston Martin.
Yeah, well, yeah, Jesus.
We could talk about Aston Martin later.
Yeah, my God. But yeah, no, I don't know. I
should we just go through all the news and then we'll save the end for the main thing, which is Charles, right?
Sure, yeah, we'll make people wait to listen or skip forward. Why not? Screw it.
I say.
So, what news would you like to discuss this time?
I would like to discuss that apparently
Mm.
Aston Martin are looking at hiring Mattia Binotto.
What?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, Binotto appears. I mean, sure, okay, that makes sense.
So they will be like
for what?
Crack. So they want him to be like the chief technical officer, which I know Dan Fallows is, but I think he's like an overall.
Yeah.
Where Dan just focuses on like the car,
so
and he focuses on the overall direction of the team.
That kind of makes sense, but almost maybe even in like a Andreas Seidel type position where you're sort of like overseeing bits and pieces and you advise, not necessarily like head
he'll
of
lead
car
the technical
development
stuff. So it could be something like maybe like Zach Brown, Andreas Stella, where like Zach's like the CEO.
Yeah, but
commercials, overall team.
You've got to remember that Binotto was an engineer for the longest amount of time, so that's where he has the most experience, not as a team principal as well. So it actually makes perfect sense, and it would be a nice way to bring him back into the sport.
That's the rumor, that he could come in and hopefully help Aston Martin with going forwards instead of going backwards.
So are they looking at Binotto because they can't get Newey?
No, that's a good point. Actually,
are they?
Yeah. Maybe New is like, I don't want to join Aston Martin.
Well, I think
Ferrari.
Yeah, well, Binotto's gardening leave is over now, so he can join any team he wants.
So yeah, possibly that. Maybe they're like, look, we can't get Newey. We've identified this gap, or Lawrence Stroll's identified this gap.
Well,
and he brings in Binotto.
Apparently, Lawrence is getting frustrated with the lack of development or the fact that they're falling back as well. So he could just throw a checkbook at Binotto and be like, "Look, just how much do you want? Write your own wage." But can you imagine Aston Martin with Binotto and Newey?
Madness. Well,
insane.
Whatever it is, they need to fix the problems that they're having with these updates, because they're just going backwards and backwards and backwards. And Alonso doesn't look happy with the car.
No. Well, Alonso's had 2 really bad weekends in a row, and for some reason, Lance Stroll seemed to have turned up the last 2 weekends, which is really strange.
I reckon Lance is in there like unplugging stuff in the car.
Literally, yeah. Lance is like as he just changes all the settings on the steering wheel before Alonso gets in the mornings. But God knows, or either that or he's like paid off one of the engineers to like accidentally unattach like different little wires and stuff in the car. But yeah, I don't know honestly. But I think that it is also very interesting that their upgrades aren't working well, but Lance Stroll is really valued in the team for his feedback on the car.
Yeah.
The feedback on the car, which is powering developments which aren't going well. Sounds good. Yep, sure. That makes sense. Ish. Yep. But yeah, so that's some pretty big news. I was not expecting that, but it sounds like you've got even more news.
I've got tons of.
You got tons of news.
Actually, this is not news. This is fun stuff.
Okay, sure. Go on then, hit me.
Okay. When was the last time?
Oh no.
The brothers were on a Formula One podium.
Michael Schumacher and Ralf Schumacher, 2003. No, 6.
No, Ralph wasn't in there 2006, was he? I got 2001.
Oh, 2001. Okay, sure. Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Okay, cool. We'll go with that. I actually don't know.
Now it's 2024.
Reset the stat.
Charles Leclerc and Oscar Piastri Leclerc. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought, eh? Unbelievable. 2 brothers, 2 monogaths.
1 and 2 as well. Imagine how happy Mama Piastri is.
Oh, unbelievable.
Do you reckon Oscar will get adopted by Lawrence Stroll for the next race? Oscar,
Honestly,
Piastri,
Oscar,
Leclerc, Stroll.
please, for the love of God, pull something, honestly. I just love it as well, how unbothered he is by everything. He's so funny. I
He is
love
the next
Oscar.
Kimi Räikkönen.
Oh, 100%. He is the next Kimi Räikkönen. Like, he's so calm and collected on the radio. And he drives for McLaren as well. Like, it's a match made in heaven. I love Oscar so much.
I know. He's so easy.
He is Kimi. You know how they have, like, regens in, like, Football Manager of, like, players and stuff like that? Oscar Piastri is just a Kimi Räikkönen regen. It's so good. Unbelievably talented. Unbelievably blunt. Incredible.
Cool. Do you want some more news?
Yes, hit me with the news.
Oh, well, actually, you've seen this after I texted it to you yesterday. It was Martin's grid walk.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. When are celebrities going to learn?
I know. But his response was brilliant.
So good.
It's like, what does he say? Like, oh no, I'm in charge.
I'm in charge here. Yeah.
And he still managed to get.
Oh yeah, still got info out of him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't understand. What are they blocking him for? There's like, you know, they said if you're on the grid, you could be interviewed, and people on the grid are all vetted and everything. So like, who is he protecting him from? I don't think Martin Brundle's like a raving Mbappe fan who's gonna like jump on him and hug him and stuff like that. So
probably not. No, considering that he didn't as well.
Yeah, but the grid walk was quite good, and I'm glad Martin was like, "No, I'm in charge here." It's like, damn right you are, man.
Yeah.
And then the final thing, do you want to talk Red Bull? Because there's two things I want to talk about Red Bull.
Sure, we can talk Red Bull.
The first is apparently Perez is signing the contract. I don't know if it's for 1 year or 2 year, but that basically means that Sainz doesn't have the Red Bull. So yeah, it's quite strong. These rumors that pretty much Perez is about to sign with Red Bull. So I don't know if it's 1 year or 2 years. Maybe after that performance, it could be 1 year. But here's the thing: they did the numbers, right? And Sergio. So basically, Sergio's gap to Max was only the 6th largest.
Wow.
That means he wasn't like as far. Like Tsunoda, Gasly, Albon, and Bottas all beat their teammates by a larger margin than Max did. Well, so maybe the performance of the car affecting both of them. Maybe they looked at it, it's like, okay, I know it's 18th, you had traffic and all that.
True, yeah. No, I do agree with that, but it doesn't explain last week. Or, I'll be honest, I was going to say next week, but next week isn't in Europe, so he'll be fine next week.
Well, actually, you say that, but with what Max was saying and what's been going on, apparently they reckon their car, again, is not suited to Canada, and they're probably thinking it could be a Ferrari pole again. Okay. So we'll see. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still think Red Bull's the quickest car out there. But it's a more competitive start of the season, at least.
Yeah, true. I mean, let's think about this, right? At the beginning of the season, even I said it. I'm guilty of this. I said Verstappen could win every single race. And we've had 4 different race winners.
I know.
The season hasn't been as bad as I expected. I'm enjoying the season so far. I mean, I fell asleep during Monaco,
went on
but
outright pace.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's not all bad. But yeah, I mean, we actually could have a title fight on our hands, a 3-way title fight between Verstappen, Norris, and Leclerc.
I want it to be a title fight, but I think once they sort out the car and get into like their favorite tracks,
well, I think based on the depressing news that you gave me 2 minutes ago about Perez being re-signed by Red Bull again, Jesus Christ, constructors battle is absolutely on the cards. 100% that is on the cards, unless Sergio pulls something out of his ass, then there's actually a constructors battle on for sure.
There's only 24 points in between Red Bull and Ferrari right now.
Yep.
Last year there was there was 99 points difference.
Jesus.
No, 199 points difference. My bad.
Wow, that's huge. Absolutely huge. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we get actual battles for both championships.
Yeah, I hope so too. But I think they'll sort the car out. It's coming up after Canada. There'll be like European races, Max does really well at, and I think he'll just stop.
Yeah, typically.
Well, he does well at all the races, but I think that's where he'll build a gap.
Yeah, but then again, you've got some tracks like, although Austria, Charles has won in Austria before. Lando's strong in Austria as well, even though it's a home race for Red Bull. I mean, that's going to be a really, really interesting weekend because the lap's so short as well. I'm actually genuinely thinking that could be the most exciting Grand Prix of the weekend because you could actually overtake out that track too. And
I think Max will dominate that weekend.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I wouldn't bet my house on it. I don't have a house, but I wouldn't. Yes. But that could be a very, very exciting weekend. That and the British Grand Prix should really throw some things around.
Because apart from like 2022, hasn't Max won like the majority of the races there?
Well, I think so.
But he won it last year.
Yeah. Didn't win it.
So he won 2023, 2021.
Didn't Lewis win
2019, 2018?
Yeah.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't race. Sorry, I'm talking about Max.
Yeah.
Bottas won in 2020.
That
and
was
they did Styria, where Lewis won.
Yeah.
But he won 2018, 2019, 2021, and 2023.
Yeah. Do you see what I mean by like I'm saying that it could be interesting weekends because other drivers and other cars could be quite strong there as well.
For like the podium positions, but I think winning it, I think he'll smash it. And I think that's all the news that I have.
Cool. All right. Well, I mean, I don't think I have anything else. Like, there's been no developments in like signs to Williams or Sauber or anything like that as well. So, but
there should be soon though with Perez signing.
Yeah, there should be. I think dominoes will start falling in the next 2 or 3 weeks ish, hopefully. But I'd imagine again by summer break we should figure out who's going to be in that second seat at Aston Martin. Anywho. The race. I thought quali was good. Obviously, it was pretty nerve-wracking. You could have had any of 5 or 6 cars actually on pole. Even Lewis Hamilton had an outside chance considering everything as well. Experience does definitely come into play. I think that you have to remember that was the one pole position that Michael Schumacher had in one of his final seasons was at Monaco.
2012,
Its experience is just so vital at that track. So there was genuine a choice of so many people on pole. But I'm glad Charles had pole and then converted that pole. Absolutely fantastic. But no other surprises from me. I saw
a tweet or a meme or a thread or whatever. It's like Ferrari can't fuck up pit stops if there aren't any pit stops.
Ferrari played 3D chess. No, you're right. They can't fuck up a pit stop if
we'll sacrifice one of the Hasses. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, they're engine suppliers, so they've got some info. But I'm so happy that Charles. I cannot believe how much of a weight this must lift off of Leclerc's shoulders going forward.
Yeah,
must be absolutely insane.
If you think about it,
this is going to feel.
He's not been on the podium in F1 or F2, is what they're saying on the commentary.
Yeah.
He's put it on pole, and then one time on strategy, one time he didn't even start.
Yeah.
And just it's his home race, it's Monaco, just everything he's been through, with his dad, with Jules.
Yeah.
And man, it was. I don't think anyone was unhappy, angry, disappointed, or sad.
No.
Even if you're a Verstappen fan, Hamilton fan, whatever, that Charles won that race.
This one race, I can't imagine people being angry about any other result.
Even Prince Albert looked like he was.
I know.
He was crying.
Did you see he started throwing champagne as well at the end?
Yeah, I saw that.
Brilliant. Somebody gave him a bottle. He must have sneakily just been like, give me a bottle. I'm gonna. Fantastic.
Can you imagine the odds, right? That first of all, you have to be born in Monaco, which is super rare. And then you have to be good enough to get into Formula One.
Yeah.
And then be good enough to get into a race-winning car.
Yeah.
And then win Monaco. Odds of that happening. I'd love to know what it is. It must be 1 in a billion.
It's something ridiculous, honestly.
And Did you hear like he was worried that he might like crash because his eyes are starting to like well up?
I wanted to mention that. So Charles obviously was super emotional, if you don't know, during the last couple of laps, right? But Piastri dropped back quite a bit towards the end of the race. He was so Charles finished 7-ish seconds ahead of Piastri, and Carlos was 0.4 seconds behind Piastri as well. But surely Oscar must know Charles, although he pulled away, and I'm not too sure if it was because Charles just could because he still had tyre life, or Piastri couldn't keep up with him because he didn't have tyre life, or whatever. But if I'm Oscar, I'm pushing him all the way to the end because, I mean, maybe he did get emotional during the end, and maybe he did lock up going into a corner, or maybe he did, not think or get distracted by looking at the TV screens, or, something happened, anything. That I'm not. I would like to know a little bit more of.
I reckon what you said at the start, that Charles was like, "Oh, I've got tires. I can build a gap. I've got free air."
Yeah,
obviously it's a little bit more difficult if you're following the car at the time.
Yeah,
and it's just like, I'm just going to go for it, build a gap. So that way he doesn't have to push every lap. Because imagine, like I said, if Oscar's putting pressure on him, it could be that lockup,
exactly,
that clip into the barrier. So it's like, let me just build a gap, control the race, and then bring it home. Like I said, nothing happened in the race. I guess we'll talk about it when we talk about Monaco as a whole. But it was the most nerve-wracking, like 76
it was super
laps.
nervy,
So I was like, just don't touch a barrier. Don't touch a barrier. Like, see, you saw Lance touch the barrier.
Yeah.
And had that. And then it's like, oh gosh, is he gonna stop? Where's that tire carcass gonna go? And it's like, okay,
it's also like, so if you didn't watch it, I don't know if you did. The F2 race, feature race on the Sunday was insane. Did you see the result during that?
I saw the fight between Behrman and Antonelli.
Fight between Behrman and Antonelli was also amazing. But did you see the result in the F2 at all? Do you know the story of what happened? Okay, I'll break it down for you. So essentially, there was a virtual safety car like 2-3 laps before the end, right? But there was a yellow flag being waved, right? And there was one driver who was down in like P14, P15 during quali. So he was just trundling around and hoping for a safety car, hoping. Zach O'Sullivan for Williams, right? There's a yellow flag and he's just coming up to pit entry. So he pits, and then as he's pitting, virtual safety car is called. Now, if you don't know, in F2, you cannot pit during a virtual safety car, right? So he got essentially a free pit stop. He comes out of the pits in P1. So he's literally been rocketed from like net race like 14th all the way up to P1 purely from VSC pitting. So he's on brand new tyres at the end of the race. Isaac Hajar is going mental on the radio. He's like, at the end, he's like, don't talk to me. You can go and look at photos. He looks pissed. Like, he wants to be anywhere else. It is absolutely insane. It's such an insane result. I was not expecting it.
Hold on, how did he get to P1?
Because he used the so he was
let's because you're gonna break this down for me because I'm confused, right? Let's just say
so he was
Kimi Antonelli's first, right? And this guy is 14th.
No, Kimi.
Right?
Well, okay. Isaac Hajar was first, but yeah, sure.
Okay, we're using Isaac Hajar's first. This guy's like 14th, right?
Yeah.
Isaac Hajar's past the safety car, pit entrance, right? Let's just say he's at.
So here's the thing. So essentially, Zach O'Sullivan still had to pit, but he was technically first in the race.
Okay, so he was the net first.
He was he was first, but he still had to pit. So technically, he was still like he had to pit. So net he would come out like P14, 15, right?
Right.
But it's just pure luck.
So because he'd got into pit because it was yellow flag.
Because it was yellow flag, he chanced it. Then they called the virtual safety car, which neutralizes the race, and then he came out P1. Unbelievable scenes. I'm so glad that I watched that race because it was unbelievable. Boring leading up to it. We had a couple of, but actually no, it wasn't, because these F2 cars are so much smaller, so they can actually fight. They can actually provide entertaining racing around the streets of Monaco. So we had a fight between Antonelli and Behrman, which was entertaining as well. And the Zach O'Sullivan pit stop meant that Behrman was essentially booted off the podium because he came out of nowhere to be P1. Actually an entertaining race. I would argue that the F2 was more entertaining than the F1, especially if you're not a Charles Leclerc fan. But yeah, like honestly, great racing from F2 yet again this weekend. But it just brings up the question again: why on earth are we still racing in Monaco with these big old bloody F1 cars that can't overtake each other?
I think this is where, which is annoying because like other races would complain. It's like you have to do something different at Monaco. Right?
Yeah.
Which is, I know we talked about it last week, which is like you have to mandate 2 pit stops or Pirelli have to bring tyres that will not last 77 laps.
You can only use, or like you said, you have to use all 3 tyres.
Or you have to use all 3. But the thing is, then other races will be like, hold on, we want more pit stops and we want that. So I think if you were to ask me to make a decision right now, I'd say Pirelli, you have to bring super soft tyres.
Well, we used to have a huge Pirelli range, didn't we, of tyres, but we don't anymore.
Yeah. So that way, some drivers would be like, okay, I think I'm going to try and make it last. Some like, we'll go for the pits, we'll push all the time. Because qualifying is great. But as a race, and I know it's Monaco, it's a spectacle, and for the drivers, it's the one they want to win as well. And it's really like that's where you truly like the great drivers. It's such a boring race.
It was. It just was boring. Lap 1 was amazing and interesting.
You're waiting.
That was it
for safety cars. And pit stops. Right. You're not waiting for on track action. So and
the cars are so reliable now that there's no reliability issues. Well, not as many essentially.
So if I'm the FIA, FOM or race organizers or whatever, I'd be looking at like, we need to change this up because eventually people will just get bored of it. Like there's only so many. There's like, I only watched it because Charles is in pole. If Charles wasn't in pole and there was like, I was like, I'll watch something else kind of thing and then just come back for like lap 77. So
I'm just happy I was building Lego during the majority of it. Because I started building Lego during the red flag, and then I just didn't stop.
I felt like if I turned it off, then Charles would lose. So I was like,
superstitions. Yeah, I mean, it's not great, is it? Hopefully they can sort something, but like, I mean, let's see. I don't think it's gonna get dropped from the calendar. It just won't.
Oh, it will never get dropped from the calendar because like it's just overall just there's too much outside of the racing, but they do need to do something to improve the racing kind of thing. So hopefully the tires, because like you said, safety cars, virtual safety cars, even if you don't have crashes, just pit stops, right? Like you talk about, you can have like a super insane out lap or in lap, and then you can see 2 drivers fighting, and then Lance Stroll suddenly highlight comes up.
Another,
what happened?
Another rule change: during a red flag, if you change tires, that does not count as your designated pit stop.
Oh,
simple rule, really simple, and it opens up strategy for every race, not just Monaco. Every race, you can change tires during a red flag if it is changed from a wet race to a dry race or a dry race to a wet race. I think that's fair.
No, I think you should be allowed to change tires, but I also think, like you said, if they haven't made a pit stop, they still have to make a pit stop to change compound.
Yeah, unless obviously it's a wet race. So, like for example, if it's because then it's deemed a wet race, you don't have to at all. So, like if there's, let's say for example, it's raining and you're on wets, and then somebody crashes, so there's a red flag. They bring everyone in. If you want to change to winters, that's fine, but you don't have to change anyway. You do what you want. But if it's a dry race and you change your tires under the red flag, that shouldn't count as your pit stop because it's technically not a pit stop.
Yeah, it's not.
So
yeah, I agree with that.
But that would change every race, not just Monaco.
Yep. Oh well,
it's such a simple rule change. Simple, really simple.
Stefano and MBS.
Dear Stefano, I am writing to you. That's such a simple thing. Trademark me. It has to be called the McQuillan rule if F1 implement it. Oh no, I've just revealed my last name on the internet. Oh no. Anyway, anything else Monaco at all? We'll talk Canada early next week because we've got no race week this week, unfortunately. So maybe something will happen off track to keep us chatting. Anything else?
I think we covered everything.
I have one thing.
Okay.
McLaren.
Yeah.
Monaco. Senna. The three go hand in hand. What did you think of the livery? What did you think of like the helmets and stuff that we had? What are your thoughts on that?
I think you put it on Instagram. I put it on Instagram, which is like, this is how you do a livery Ferrari.
This is Ferrari.
I didn't really now that I saw it on track, I didn't really like the livery that much.
Okay. I liked it.
I think it was okay. I still think the orange papaya one was better.
Yeah.
And the other ones that they've done it better. But yeah, it's not really like wow or amazing.
Yeah,
when they did the golf one, I was like, that
golf was top tier. That was so good. But I agree. I do have one other thing to talk about as well, which is the helmets.
I have one more thing.
The helmets that that they all had. Because Valtteri Bottas announced his like hours after we recorded the podcast. But I still genuinely think Nico Hülkenberg had the best helmet of the week.
Yeah, he did. Shame we didn't see it enough.
Shame we didn't see it that much. But I mean, Kevin even had a special helmet as well. It was just a slight change, to be honest with you. But Kevin had a special helmet as well. Obviously we had both the McLarens as well, but Nico's was unbelievable. So nice.
I know, it's so good. I think the only thing I want to say is Monaco proved today just how dangerous it is being a marshal.
Did
you see that photographer who's like lying on the ground and he's okay? I've just seen his Instagram. And he's fine. I think he found a bit of carbon fiber in his clothes and stuff. But yeah, that's scary.
I actually have a bone to pick with the FIA about this crash.
Okay.
It has made me...
Dear Stefano.
Dear Stefano.
Well, dear MBS, actually, rather.
So like I said, I have a problem because I keep seeing crashes like this. I'm still utterly convinced that I can just get in a car crash and survive, and I really need to unlearn that because I'm seeing these drivers crash at like hundreds of kilometers of an hour and just completely forget that I am not built different. My Toyota
neither is your car
will not go through that. It will get crushed like nothing, like a children's sand castle. It will just fall apart and crumble. I mean, it's safe, but like it is giving me this inflated idea that I can just survive any car crash that needs to stop.
Please don't.
Oh, I mean, I'm not driving like an idiot or anything like that. I mean,
that's what you think.
I tell you now, Danish people do not know how to drive. Honestly, some of them here are horrific. They were handing out licenses like hotcakes in the 80s, and nobody learned how to drive since. Anyway, but like, I'm not driving like an idiot, but still, it's wild. I'm like, oh yeah, 200 kilometers into a war, yeah, you'd be fine.
I think it's, considering it's the 30th anniversary of Senna's death, that Sergio just got out and walked from that.
It's insane. Yeah, insane that these drivers can just walk away.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. You saw Sergio's car.
Yeah.
I mean, insane.
There's barely a car left. It's just like the shell. Do you want to take a guess at how much it cost to repair that car?
Has it been announced how much it costs? I'm not going to Google it.
So Helmut Marko has said it will cost up to an amount. Do you want to guess what that amount is?
So is this US dollars we're guessing? Or what has he said? Or euro?
Yeah,
US dollars. Okay, cool. So I'll be honest with you. Sergio's car was a write-off. So I'm thinking to build brand new from scratch, an entire monocoque, everything. I'm going to go $2.8 million.
Ooh. So
that's a good reaction.
Dr. Helmut Marko reckons it'll be up to $3 million.
That's so close. That's so close.
Oh. There you go. It's extra painful because of the cost cap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
it will impact stuff like that. I did also, actually, before we finish up, because really we've been recording now for 45 minutes, right?
Yes.
Apparently, women making babies is a problem with the cost cap.
Oh, I heard about this thing.
Yeah, this is really bad. So I personally think that because it could potentially discourage women from being hired by Formula One teams or even applying to roles within Formula One teams when they're having kids, right? Because apparently, if a woman goes on maternity leave and then they have to obviously bring in a replacement, regardless of man, woman, whatever, but if they have a maternity cover, that still falls under the cost cap, right? So you would, if you're being ruthless as an F1 team, you might not hire a woman who may or may not be having children in the near future purely so that you can save on a cost cap. As far as I'm concerned, if you go on maternity leave, that should not fall under the cost cap.
I think they need to review the cost cap.
They need to review the cost cap entirely because it's insane, some of the stuff that isn't considered. But please, for the love of God, this should be written as an exemption. That it does not matter. So long as the wage of the replacement of whoever's on maternity leave is the exact same, should not come under cost cap whatsoever.
Yeah, that's so
it's
strange.
bullshit as far as it's a really odd thing that, like, I'll be honest with you, it sounds like something that's just completely gone over of the people who have written this, because they're probably, or more than likely, the majority all blokes who don't have to consider these things.
Yeah.
So I think that genuinely does need to be looked at.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a really simple thing. Really, really simple.
No, I just think they need to just redo it overall. The cost cap, like you said.
How long has the cost cap been running now?
2 years?
4 years-ish, because obviously they had the like, okay, we're getting prepared for cost cap, so we need to understand like how it's all going to work and stuff like that. Okay. So they had about 1.5 years, 2 years to prepare and learn about everything, right?
Well, then that makes it even worse if it's 4 years.
So we'll call it 3, because they obviously had a year to prepare and then 2 years or so under cost cap, right? But my thing is that, like, they'll have data from the teams now to say, like, oh yeah, sure, you know, we need to look at this, or we need to like, this is a problem area, or why is it that this marketing thing doesn't fall under the cost cap, and blah 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 blah. So hopefully after a few years now, the teams will be able to feed that back to the FIA, FOM, whoever, and be like, yeah, we really need to make some changes. Like, even, for example, like I said, there should be an exemption, or like a once every 5 years you can put something or file something outside of cost cap, especially for teams like Williams, who their technology is just massively out of date, massively. So they should be able to spend 10 million outside of cost cap updating all of their facilities, for example. Again, I'm pulling numbers out of my arse, but there should be, you know, like one-offs where they can, like, yep, we can
just think they need to just review it as a whole.
Yeah, review it as a whole, but there are definitely, like, even if they don't like completely rewrite the script, they need to make some changes.
They do. So hopefully they do.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. But yeah, so do we have anything else at all we wanna chat about?
No, just all hail our Lord and Savior.
Yeah, fantastic, Charles. Well done. Huge congratulations from the two of us.
Well deserved.
Yeah. Actually, I have one more thing, because of course I do. I've got a bone to pick with McLaren.
Oh gosh.
You know this beautiful McLaren Senna t-shirt that I'm wearing?
Yeah.
It has Castore written on it, right, as well, because they're a team sponsor and they provide the team's merch, right? It's not a Castore.
Okay, what is it?
I don't know. It's some random manufacturer. I thought I was getting a Castore t-shirt, and it's not. I've been robbed blind. I actually
Can you tell who it was?
It just says McLaren at the back. It doesn't say, like, it says like it was produced in like Bangladesh or wherever it was. But I'm a little bit annoyed that it's not a proper Castore shirt, because you can tell. I also ordered a different shirt. The quality of this is nowhere near as good as the Castore shirt. The quality is not great. I'll be honest with you. It's just not. It also fits weird. Like, look, like the shoulder, like the, yeah. I'm a bit annoyed about it. I'm keeping it anyway, but that's mostly because it will cost me money to return it, and I can't be bothered.
Oh, that's a real first world problem there.
Yeah, it's a real first world problem that me, an adult man, has spent money on a t-shirt he doesn't quite like. Anyway, enough of these champagne problems. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll be back later on this week with something. We're gonna throw something together. You know, fill the void between Monaco and Canada. But we'll also be back next week to talk Canada. Be sure to like and follow your podcast, or follow this podcast on your preferred podcast platform. And also come and follow us on Instagram. Did you see I live streamed? Did you see that? I didn't
get a notification.
Did I check it up? First of all, that's annoying. Second of all, I live streamed building the Mercedes Technic pullback model.
Oh, that's nice.
I still have one more bag to finish, so you can see it's like partly finished. But yeah, I answered some questions about Monaco, fielded some questions about Newey and stuff like that. So if you want to come and join in the fun on Instagram, I need to stream again, finishing off the McLaren and finishing off the Mercedes, and I have a McLaren to build as well. And I have the big Technic. The big Technic has arrived. I need to pick it up this week, so I can build that as well on Instagram Live as well. I'm going to charge up. I've got 2 phones, so I'm going to do a TikTok Live and an Instagram Live the next time we go live. I've said the word live way too many times, but I'm going to chop up, get those phones up and running, and do some more live streaming. It was fun. It was really interesting. Like, loads of people joined in, chatted, left comments, and asked questions and stuff. I think we had nice. over the period of time, a lot of it was moods. He was commenting a lot, but I went back and looked at the analytics, and we had like 20, 30 questions.
Oh, that's cool. You'll have to. I didn't know why I didn't get a notification, but you'll have to invite me. Maybe we can co-collaborate next time.
Well, are you following the One Us podcast on Instagram? Yeah. So we've got that coming up.
Maybe I've said it that I don't get live notifications on Instagram.
Maybe I don't know.
Should we wrap this up? We're just
rambling. Yeah, cool. Thank you everyone for listening. Hope you enjoyed the Monaco Grand Prix, and we will see you in the next one.